everyone, I'm your host, Brittany Jones-Cooper, and welcome back to Build. Luke Evans is the acclaimed actor from The Alienist and Disney's live-action Beauty and the Beast, where he played Gaston. But we get to see a different side of Luke in his recently released album, At Last, where he adds his personal touch to some of the most iconic love songs. Please put your hands together for Luke Evans. I like the whoops going on.
Yes, keep those whoops coming.
Let's keep the whoops coming. First, I'm going to ask, how's your 2020 going so far?
Great. What day is it?
I have no idea, Luke.
Yeah, it's been fun already. We finished 2019 with a bang. The album came out, and I did a big campaign, big promo tour, did some really great things, sang live a load of times, and then ended up here at the beginning of 2020. So it's great.
Did you get to take some time off and relax?
Yeah. I went to Hawaii, but I didn't stay on the beaches. I went hiking into the mountains and the canyons and did some camping and avoided the very, very wet weather, which was almost impossible because it is the wettest place on earth. And then spent New Year in Miami, which was really cool.
I have to say, I Googled you for this interview, and there's like all these thirst trap photos of you in Miami.
Yeah, and I didn't want any of them, frankly, right? They weren't by me.
I was going to ask, I was like, it must be so odd. You come back from vacation, you're like, come on, guys.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm not going to complain because, you know, they go, oh, he's complaining because he's had his photograph taken by the paparazzi, but it's part of what you do for a living, right? And I have no control over it, so you just have to accept it, and you know, it is what it is. But you know, it is an intrusion of your privacy. You're on the beach with your mates. You don't even know that they're there most of the time, but you know, it is what it is.
I'll say though, it did make me think James Bond, and I feel like that could be something that leads to a future role for you. So you know, it might all come full circle. You never know.
You never know.
You never know. That's what the internet's saying anyway. I'm just letting you know.
Are they? Okay. Yeah, well, the internet says a lot of things.
They do. So I want to talk about this album. I've been listening to it all night, all morning. I love it. I did not really know that you sang before Beauty and the Beast. So was that a moment that you feel like most people sort of realized that you had a voice?
Well, you have to go back before my movie career began. In 2000, I started musical theater. I graduated from college, and then I did 8 years of musical theater. So I have a whole group of people that know me from back then. And then when I started doing film, it escalated so quickly that before I knew it, within a couple of years, people had almost forgotten that I was a singer. And it took almost another 8 years, 9 years before a film came along and a few films did come along that I said no to, which were musical. I just didn't know that they were the right ones. And then Beauty and the Beast came along, and even then I was a little hesitant. I didn't know whether I wanted to play this douchebag of a person, but then I thought, no, this is the moment. And then all of a sudden, you know, this international fan base and people watching my show, oh my God, you can actually sing, you know. And that's sort of where the ball started to roll. It rolled slowly at first, and then I was asked to sing at a few very high-profile things in the United Kingdom. Sang at the Queen's birthday 2 years ago. What was it, last year? How old is she? She's old.
Like 90, like 93?
The machine, that woman.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I sang at her birthday, and that was televised, and I sang with like Kylie Minogue and Tom Jones and Sting and Jamie Cullum and Shaggy, and you know, I'm on a stage with all these legendary performers, but I was singing with them, and I think people started to, you know, the record labels and producers started to pick up on that I could do it, and then a year later, I had a record deal and recorded the whole album during the time I was shooting the second season of The Alienist, which wasn't easy, I'll tell you that for nothing. Murder in the week, singing Cher songs on Saturdays and Sundays. So it was an interesting mix of emotions, but here we are.
I'm curious too, I know you, in previous interviews I've heard you talk about you were a theater kid growing up, you were always drawn to the theater, but when did you find your voice? When did you sort of realize, oh, I can do this? And who were maybe some of your early inspirations?
I found a voice very early on, and I wouldn't say that it was musical theater. I had to really rein in my voice and have a training to understand the musical theater sound, because there is a certain sound in most musical theater. Obviously, nowadays, you know, you've got, you know, School of Rock, and you've got just musicals that are completely sort of the complete opposite to what we
all
used to.
All the jukebox musicals,
yes,
basically,
yeah. And also, you know, like What did I see recently? What was it? Dear Evan Hansen. You know, and that music is just nothing like we used to remember musical theatre from back in my day. So things have changed. But back when I was starting to become a musical theatre actor, they had to rein me in, and it was probably because like the people I was singing like that influenced me when I was growing up was George Michael, Roberta Flack, U2, Desiree, Olita Adams, a lot of big black women there. So
Soul.
vocal sound
It's
that
soul.
that's where I sort of found my voice. And I mean, I could mimic Olita Adams singing Get Here, you know, when I was about 13. It was they were the songs I loved to sing, but that wasn't the sound of musical theatre. So really, I did find my voice that I now use with this album, but I found it very early on.
And let's talk about the songs you chose, because I realize they are all songs by women that I haven't almost except
yeah.
for Bring 'Em Home.
Bring 'Em Home and U2's
And U2's.
With or Without
They
You.
seem to be very female focused that haven't really been covered by guys before.
No, and that wasn't planned, because first of all, when you do a covers album, the record label were very kind, and they said just go ahead and put together a list of songs, and then we'll narrow it down with the help of a record producer and to 12, which is probably the hardest thing ever to do, you know, like 12 songs out of 60. And when we got to the 12 tracks, we realized that 80% of the tracks were sung by women, and sung very famously by women, you know, Pat Benatar, Maria McKee, Cher, you know, Roberta Flack, Desiree, all these amazing voices, and Etta James. I mean,
Lady Gaga.
Just keeps got Lady Gaga. But we saw that there was then a theme to the album, and we were going to rearrange these tracks a lot. They were going to come out of a man's mouth for the first time, sounding with a man's voice, and they took on a whole new life. And I just sang live on Something Now, and there was one male presenter, and he spoke to me and said, I literally thought it was a new song because I was listening to the words differently, and I was like, great, that's exactly what I wanted. You know, we're not trying to take away from the wondrous original tracks that they are sung by these amazing women, but it was about me taking a new slant on a very famous song.
Let's talk about the arrangement, because there are some songs where it took me a couple counts to figure out which one it was. One is If I Could Turn Back Time, Cher. It takes you a minute to realize, oh, this is Cher, because it's been arranged so differently.
Yeah, we've moved the lyrics around a little bit, and it doesn't play exactly like the original track. Also, I'm not in a fishnet onesie on a battleship with the U.S. Navy behind me. You know, that's a big distraction.
Luke, there's still time to make that happen.
Still time.
I mean, never give up hope. But take me through how did you find the producers? What was the process of working? There's an orchestra on a lot of the tracks.
The orchestra is actually one of the most impressive parts. It's the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra, which when they said that they were signed up to do it, I just couldn't believe it. It's like my first album, I'm going to sing songs I love to sing, and the Philharmonic Orchestra, the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra, are going to record the strings. And I was there, I watched it, I filmed it, and it was just like, it's my album. This is brilliant, you know. The record producer, Steve Anderson, has worked with amazing people for many, many years. He's worked with me. I've known him for a long time. When I played Roger in Rent in the West End, and he was the one who orchestrated the music. He redid the music. And so I've known him for a long time. He knows my voice. So he was often pushing tracks to go onto the album, which I would have been like, are you kidding me? Like, I'm not going to sing a Cher track. Like, what? I'm going to be, like, completely vilified for doing it. He said, but wait till we've arranged it and see how different it is, and then think about it. And so, you know, that's why you have a good record producer, right? They see things in a different perspective. So that was really helpful. But it was a joy. But I recorded the whole album in 5 days.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah.
Wow. So did you leave the studio?
Yeah, I did it every weekend. So I would shoot Monday to Friday in Budapest, in Hungary, shoot in the Alienist. And then I would fly home Friday night. I would go to the studio on Saturday, record all day, go home, go sleep, wake up, go back to the studio. And then Sunday evening, I would fly back to Budapest and then shoot all week. And then do the same thing. And I did that for two weekends, and then I did one extra day.
And you mentioned how hard it was to narrow it down to the 12. I would imagine for somebody who loves music, that's just incredibly hard.
Very hard.
So what was it about these songs that it was the perfect mix for you?
Well, they've all got a story. I mean, I think probably the most the one that has been with me the longest is First Time Ever I Saw Your Face, which we all know. We all know it's a beautiful track. For me, it was immortalized by Roberta Flack. And when I was maybe about 11, I lived in a little village in South Wales, and we went. They had a Woolworths, but you still have Woolworths here, right?
I don't think.
Yeah, no, no.
Did they all close? I think they all
But they were
closed.
like it was like the store where you could buy candy, you could buy music, you could buy clothes, you could buy your school uniform and the stuff that went in your school kit, you know, and everything. And they used to have like music at the front. And I remember there used to be a bargain basket with all these cracked and broken things in it. And one was a CD with Roberta Flack's face on it, and the album was called Killing Me Softly. And I think it was like 60 pence. And I picked it up. I bought it because I had a new CD player in my bedroom. First CD player I ever had. CDs, kids.
Yeah. I know what they are.
I'm aging.
I'm also thinking about how
by the minute.
incredibly great your taste was as a kid.
Yeah,
to pick
right.
up Killing Me Softly. It's like,
yeah, really. And the first track on the album was First Time Ever I Saw Your Face, with just a guitar, and it's the most simplest of accompaniments to her voice, because you don't need much with Roberta's voice. And that song stayed with me, and that's where my love for that kind of music and that kind of voice and the freedom in which it's just beautiful. If you haven't heard it for a while, just go back and listen to it. It'll send you to sleep. It'll make you cry. It's a magical version.
yeah. That and I'm Kissing You, I have to say, when I heard your version of it, I was like floored. I love Desiree. I love that song. And, you know, I'm protective of it. Yeah. And I heard you, and I was like, wow, you really did that justice. It is so emotional and so, I mean, heartfelt. So I would imagine you're a pretty emotional guy, because the way that you can push through these songs is amazing.
Well, I guess, you know, as an actor, you have to have some sort of emotional connection to everything you do. Sometimes you have to suppress it, and sometimes you have to bring it out of your eyes or out of some physical manifestation of it. So also being Welsh, we're a very passionate, small country. We're very emotional. A lot of our music will make you weep. Their hymns are just so stunningly powerful. We have male voice choirs, you know, of 60, 70 men. Sometimes they're in their 90s all the way down to their early 20s, singing 17 different harmonies. And when you hear it, it's just like, I defy anybody to listen to that sound and not get overwhelmed emotionally. So, you know, it's in my blood. So.
Yeah. And have you thought about collaborations moving forward? Whose voice do you think would pair great with yours, or whose just artistry would you like to get on a track with?
Oh my gosh! I mean, the list is rather long. I would love to collaborate. I think if I get the chance to do a second album, I think this album for me was just to prove to the masses that I can sing. And not only can I sing, but I can do many different things vocally, and I love to sing. But as from the album, you can see, like from Lady Gaga, you know, we just mentioned all these different sounds. And now what I would love to do was record some of my own music, collaborate with some amazing voices. I mean, I've always said it, and I always keep on saying, but Adele for me has been this. You know, I just think she's an incredible songwriter, singer. Just the way she phrases her music and the way she just emotes so much, and did that from such a young age. You know, it blows my mind. But there are many voices I love. I wish George Michael was still around, because his voice just. That's kind of that his music. I grew up with that music.
I could hear him a little bit in what you do. Too.
Yeah, well, I often sing his songs. You know, I love his music, and I have always sung, because we have a tenor. Yeah. We're both tenors, so yeah.
Similar tone. And it's interesting. Was there a decade of music that was particularly interesting to you? Because there's a lot of kind of older stuff, but then there's some Jessie Ware and Lady Gaga, some newer stuff. Yeah. But it seems like you were more selective with the newer stuff. It had to be really special.
Well, also when you sing newer stuff, you have to be very careful, because being a cover and not being, you know, and also it being so present in the audience's memory. Present memory, you don't want to draw too many comparisons to the original. The original's probably having a life, so probably the closest one was Always Remember Us This Way, you know, because we know Gaga sang it so beautifully. So, but the older ones, I mean, my taste has always been quite eclectic from when I was very small. My dad had lots of 45s. I'm aging myself, literally. 45s are the singles, records, vinyls.
Oh,
right?
thanks.
Yes,
yeah,
there we go.
I had no idea.
And you put them on
like
a record player.
tracks,
They have a needle that makes music. Can you believe that? And my dad had like from the Bay City Rollers to David Bowie to the Beatles to the Rolling Stones to Cilla Black to Petula Clark to Sandy Shaw. I mean, Joan Armatrading. I mean, just a million different sounds that I used to listen to, put the headphones on and sit there as a small kid and listen to them. So I guess my top of my list would have been these songs that are on the album, because they just sort of take me back to that time when music connects, and when it connects with you, it's a very strange thing. People. It's like I can't listen to heavy metal, but then I have a friend who's obsessed with it, and you watch him, it's like he's listening to opera, and I'm just looking thinking, how on earth can you like listen? But music is a very personal thing, and when you connect with it, and you can connect with other people through music, that's very powerful also.
I think it's amazing too how much our parents influence us. Like my mom only listened to Anita Baker and Kenny G.
Great.
So I'm like in a weird jazz, soul, R&B space all the time. But it's so cool. It is a very personal thing. And has that made it, how has the journey been for you going back to music as an actor who's known for doing kind of thrillers and action and indie, like a lot of different things? Do you feel like pressure to prove yourself?
No, I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? Because when you're a public figure and you do something as public as being an actor, a movie actor, people, they start looking at you in a certain way, and they think, oh, he's going to be like this. He's going to be this hard action hero. He's going to always be like in the gym. I do like the gym, but still, he's always in the
I saw
gym.
the
He's always
photos
like
from
boxing
Miami.
people. You wouldn't want to get drunk with him. You might have a fight, But that's just a persona. That's who we play. I'm sure, there are lots of people that you think, oh, they're going to be like that, and you meet them and they're completely different. Well, I've always been somebody who sings, somebody who's, creative, and I wanted to do that. But I was very aware that when I started to do the press on the album, that a lot of people were not going to be prepared for who I was, because all of a sudden I'm not presenting a movie, I'm presenting myself. The faces on the album, and it's just me, and I wasn't sharing the stage with anybody. It was just me doing my thing, and it was actually a wonderful feeling, because I got to just be myself. I wasn't presenting another product that was written by somebody else, that was owned by a studio, that was edited by someone else. This was mine.
Is that
I was there from the
vulnerability
beginning.
uncomfortable?
No, it was
Good.
very, very liberating. I loved every second of it. Yeah, because it's all coming from inside. Everything. I'm connected to it. I'm proud of it. I wasn't going to release it until it was exactly where it needed to be, and I was going to be happy with it. So it's been wonderful, and the response has been fantastic. It's been just watching the fans' response to it around the world has been really, really special.
So cool. And has it reignited any passions for you to get back to the stage or to do more theater?
Yes, I mean that's never been distinguished. Distinguished?
Extinguished.
Distinguished actor
You are
extinguishing the flame.
distinguished.
The flame has never been extinguished, because once you've done theater and you come from theater and you cut your teeth doing theater, which is what happened to me. It's when you go and see an amazing show or an amazing play or whatever it is, you sit there as somebody who comes from theater, you go, oh, I wish I was up there, and I have that moment quite often. So who knows? Who knows? I would like to do it. I think that probably within the next few years, I probably will do it. I would like to do it here.
I was going to say,
New
you've
York.
never done Broadway, right?
That
You've
would
been on
be-
the West End.
No.
Yeah.
It would be something special to do something here in the White Way, the Big White Way, right?
Yeah, the Great White
The Great White Way.
There's
Yeah.
so much amazing theater in New York.
Amazing.
Huge.
I'm seeing 6 shows before I leave
Oh, seriously?
on Monday. Yeah.
How long? Okay, so in a,
Yeah.
that's not even
Yeah.
a week. Yeah.
No.
Wow, good
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, right now, I feel like we're in this very sweet spot when it comes to theater. The public theater is so much cool stuff
Oh, it's
going on,
fantastic.
too. It's
Yeah. And so much
amazing.
good stuff coming up as
Yeah.
well. And yeah.
All right, so I can expect to see you there. In the meantime, though, I know you have a lot of other projects in
Mm.
TV and film coming up in 2020. So what can you kind of tease us?
Well, I fly back to London next week, and then I start pre-production on a 3-part drama I'm doing for ITV, which is a big channel in the United Kingdom. It's a true story, a crime drama, very shocking story, based in Wales, which is where I'm from, and it's the first time I've actually worked in Wales in 20 years of being an actor. So it's going to be really fun. It's an amazing script, a brilliant story, gripping. unbelievably gripping, actually. When I first read it, I had goosebumps. So I'm really excited about doing that. So I'm shooting that for the first 2 months of the year. Then I have a little break, and then I start prepping for the tour, which I'm taking the album on tour, which will be at the end of April. Right now we have a few, only the shows are in the UK. But
on,
if it
Luke.
works so well, and if people like it, I might do a gig here in New York, maybe one in LA.
I was going to say, you have to come to New York.
You heard it here first. Now we need
you.
to sell the tickets.
I think we can do that with this audience alone. You can guarantee you'll have like at least 30 people there for sure. I can't wait to see it. Please come to New York. I would love to see you live.
I love that too.
In the meantime, let's go to some questions. The first one comes from Twitter. Sony81, Sony, asks, Luke, if you could add another song to your album, what would it be?
What would it be? Well, there's one I love, which is a duet, which I've sung many times, but I guess, Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me with George Michael and Elton John. Maybe a duet album would be very fun. So I got plenty of friends who I could call on to do an album of duets with me. Right. Might be fun.
Also, Elton is like back in the mix. He's out doing shows, movies.
He's everywhere. That guy's
probably jump on
he's a machine. He's incredible, huh? Amazing. And a fellow Welshman just won the Golden Globe for playing him in the movie. So, yeah, very proud of Taron.
Was there a song that you put on that you were, like, terrified to tackle, either because of the musicality or because of the reputation of the song?
Yeah, it was Kissing You. I'm Kissing You.
Oh, okay. You killed it. You really did.
It's interesting because the way so Desiree sings it, Another one, if you haven't heard it for a while, go back, because it's like she's not even aware that there is a beat or a rhythm. She's going with her own emotional drive, and it's pulling this sound out of her, and sometimes it sounds like she's crying through the singing, And I was like, oh God, if I'd already said at the beginning of the recording session, like, if this doesn't work out, it's not going on, because you either, you've got to honor Desiree but do your own thing, but it's got to be of a certain level. But I'm glad how it came out. I tried to do it emotionally, like I've already told you, I'm a very emotional human being. So, and
that's the song I had pulled out earlier, because it is such a raw emotional song, and I feel like you were able to lock into that, which is probably very hard. You have her as the template, Right. So you nailed it. Good job. Good job, Luke. We have some questions from the audience right here or back there.
Hi. How you doing? I'm Markel. I just wanted to let you know I really enjoy your movies, and my best friend actually introduced me to your album. We were driving in the car, and she was just like, "Oh, Luke Evans has a new album." I was like, "Play it." And then "Love Is a Battlefield" came on, which is one of my favorite songs, and I was like, "I'm done. That's it. That's it." Oh, wow. So I was so happy with that. But I wanted to ask you, in terms of collaborations, I know you mentioned about your music, but in terms of your acting career, are there any sort of dream collaborations you would love to have, or have there any projects that you might have had to, go a different way or wasn't able to do that you really wish you did?
Well, what's good about my industry, and especially right now, I mean, the film industry and TV industry, is like there's so many different avenues to make projects happen. You don't just have the studios anymore or the TV platform. You have streaming, Netflix, I've had a lot of connections with Netflix within a very short space of time. I was in their biggest movie of last year, Murder Mystery. I have a project with Josh Gad that we have in development at Netflix. Alienist is on Netflix, and so I have been working away with Josh, especially on a few different ideas. We really are desperately hungry to work with each other again. Make people laugh, and so we've come up with a few brilliant ideas. So it's interesting when you get to collaborate and you take a little bit more control over what you're doing when you're able to do that. And then obviously, along with collaborating comes producing, exec producing, which is what I'm doing with the film with Josh, and I have a few other things in development which are not even owned by anybody right now, but I'm working with the writer of a project, which will probably, it looks like it will be a series, a limited series. And I'm playing the lead, funnily, weird that, writing it myself. I'm the star. Oh, clever. But there's lots of different ways to work in this industry now and develop stuff yourself, which I think is great, and there's been a few jobs I've said no to, and they've gone on to make the stars of people. But you know, that's life.
Any particular one?
No, I can't say.
Guys,
I see which one I said no to, because I didn't like the the end product. But I love him, and I think he's a great actor. But I just didn't like the film so much. Was what was it called? Only God Forgives. With Ryan Gosling. I was signed up for that, and then scheduling meant I couldn't do it.
Oh man.
But you know, sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. You know, that's the fun of this business. You never know. Even the biggest films on the planet, sometimes they come out and you're like, straight down the toilet.
Hard. It's hard.
Yeah.
Thank you. Next one.
Hi.
Nice jumper.
Thank you. My question is about your songwriting process for the songs that you wrote for the album. Like, are they older songs that you've been working on for a while, or mainly for this album?
Well, they're all covers, so these songs are not mine. So I didn't get to write any of these lyrics, but I do write music. I mean, I don't read music or play an instrument, so I'm more like the Bernie Taupin to. I need an Elton John to go with my Bernie Taupin. Do you know what I mean? So I could write the lyrics, which has mainly been in the form of poetry, which is sort of how you write music. Sometimes, you know, things have to rhyme. But that would be something I'd like to develop more for the second album. But sadly, I can't take any credit for any of these songs on this album. They're all written by very famous, brilliant songwriters.
Right. It's like, did you write "Love Is a Battlefield"?
Yeah, can you imagine?
Take credit if you can. No, I'm joking.
I'd be in court within a week.
Hi, Luke.
Hi.
My name is Cindy. You kind of answered my question about the tour because I wanted to know if you would bring it here because I wanted to bring my best friend who I got to listen to your stuff. But my second question was going to be, like Hugh Jackman just finished a huge tour as well, and I know that, you know, you like to do Broadway. He's going back to Broadway. Would you jump in with him and like collaborate musically or like anything on Broadway with Hugh Jackman? That would be an amazing thing.
Can you imagine? That's like a dream to do anything with that man. Everything he does is such high level, such high quality. He's a master of many, many trades. To watch him sing, to watch him dance, to watch him act, to watch him, the physicality of the man, you know. And he's also a very, very lovely human being. I've met him many times, and his lovely wife, and they're great people. A true Australian, you know. They're a great bunch, and yeah, it would be lovely. Yeah, never say never.
On that note, have you thought about what your live show would look like? Because I've seen a video of yours. There's a very emotional, slow song. So have you thought about what your show would look like?
Well, yeah, we have the band already. We've got the band together. We'll have backing singers. I have a lot of friends who would love to come and sing or be part of one of the shows. I'm doing an amazing venue in London called the Palladium, which is one of the most famous theatres in the United Kingdom, if not the world. It's been around a very long time. I'm doing one night at the Palladium, which I can't quite believe. It's my pinch me moment. So we don't know. I mean, really, because of the music, I don't want to distract from what we're there for. And, you know, people want to come and see me sing. I'm hoping to have some special guests come on and as well during the tour. Yeah, you know, fly over to London, come visit.
Well,
take in the show.
No, you have to come here, Luke. We've already discussed
all right.
this.
Okay.
You're doing at least one show. You can do it here.
Well, I'll warm up in the UK, and then I'll make all my mistakes there, and then I'll come and do it here.
I was going to do it here. If you can't find a venue, you can always come back here, and we will fill up this space, right, guys? All right. In the meantime, where can people listen to your album?
You can listen to my album everywhere. You can buy it on many streaming services, Spotify, Amazon, Apple Music. You can buy the album. You can order the album through my site, Luke Evans' official site. Yeah. I think there's even signed albums that have already been. I signed like 6,000 albums just before Christmas.
How did that go?
I just still can't move it.
Well, that is so great you did that for your fans. And congrats on the album. It was really a beautiful ride to listen to. So congrats. I know it's something that you seem very passionate about. So I'm glad that you got to do it. And I look forward to 2020 and all the things you have going on.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. In the meantime, guys, you heard him. Go stream the album and put your hands together for Luke Evans.